Hey, this is Louis D. Fresh bringing it to you on a Friday afternoon. The reason that I'm going to do this college segment common application part 2 and then stretch it out to a part 3, because you know that phrase, it takes a village to raise a kid. Well, it takes a village to send a kid to college. I mean, it really does. So I thought I'd dedicate this particular video, and I'm actually going to, this should air on Sunday, October 3rd, and today is the 24th of September. I'm actually going to send this to my kids who I do volunteer counseling with in way down south in Miami, because I think it's important that they get this, and you guys, all of you guys watching this, get this, that you really do need support. You, in this common app, you just can't say, I'm gonna do it and everything is gonna be wonderful. No, it's not. You need help. So let's see, that's why we're dedicating part 2 to, as I just heard thunder in the background, we're going to dedicate this to gathering support, the village that you will need to apply for colleges. In the common app, the colleges will need official school forms, and many of these colleges, not all, but many, need letters of recommendation. So you're going to need help, and we're going to see how you're going to get that help shortly, and gathering that support. And every college chooses their own recommendation requirements, so check each college's information page. Don't assume that you know what's going on and assume that every college is doing the same thing. Check each college's information page. Now let's check out the first. There's going to be 4 sets of people that you're going to need help with. Oh, great senior, and for those people who are younger, oh, great high school kid of the earth. Because Common App is great. It's fantastic. I also wouldn't spend 3 videos on it. But you do need support. So let's see who our first group is. The first group are your counselors, such as myself. Counselor shares perspective if they're writing a letter of you in the context of your class. For example, in the school that I volunteer my time with, which is, and they're going to get this early, this video, they don't have honors classes, AP classes, or IB classes. So I would share my perspective of these kids based on the school and what they offer. In my first year, I worked in my first year here in Miami, I worked in an Ooh La La school that had AP classes, like about 15 to 20 of them, honors classes, and all kinds of Ooh La La stuff. So I would base my recommendation on what the school offers them. So I'm not saying that my school is not Ooh La La. I love my school. But the idea is that we would write based on what your school offers. Then they will submit something called the school report, also known as a secondary school report. And I will fill that out, and the counselor will fill that out. And your transcripts. So make sure, oh great seniors in my school, you know who you guys are, ask for those transcripts to be sent to me so I can make sure that you're on target for graduating. Anyway, next up, parents of the next group. And the only time you're going to need them for this is if you're going to submit a form for early decision. It is an agreement form. Now, like I said, eventually I am going to do a video on decisions, on the type of decisions. There's early decision, early action, regular decision, rolling decision, early action 1, phase 1, or whatever else. I'm not gonna get crazy, but the bottom line is we're early decision only if this is for everybody. Okay, listen, if you say that this is a school that you want to go to, and if you get accepted, this is a school you will go to, no matter what kind of financial aid they give you, whether they give you a full ride or you got to pay for the whole thing, this is the school you are going to get locked into. That's what early decision means. I'm going to do a whole video on the different things, but for this case, only, there goes the hands. Check it out. I'm actually using my other hand. Only if you are saying that if I get accepted to that school, I will go to that school no matter what. So that is where the parent would come in, and that is what early decision is. In my opinion, don't do it. The reason I say don't do it is because if you get locked in and you're like, oh, I can't, it becomes a real pain, because I've done it. I've had that issue. where you have to show whatever and oh my god, and it's just I wouldn't do early decision. That's just me. Next group of people, let's check it out. These are our last sets of people that we're going to be looking at for this common application. Your teachers, they're going to give you a first-hand intellectual account of your try it again. Give first-hand account of your intellectual curiosity and creative thoughts. There's my little thing there, my little teacher and the creative thought. This is important because remember, when you're asking for a letter of recommendation from a teacher, make sure that teacher likes you. Make sure that you do well with that teacher. Make sure that you're active in that class. The teacher, here it is, will say yes or, ready, no. So if you're going to pick a teacher and then be like, a teacher has the right to say, you're a clown in my class, I ain't going to have you. They have that right. So I'm telling you ahead of time now, make sure you only pick teachers that based on that you work well in that class, you're active in that class, and it's sometimes based on stuff that you're thinking about doing. So if you really want to be like a marine biologist, pick a biology teacher. You really want to be a news reporter, pick something, a humanities teacher. You need to say whatever it is that you're really gearing yourself to. Those are the teachers you should inquire for a letter of recommendation. The other recommenders, and this is a big broad group, the biggest group, not just counselors or parents or teachers. This is your big pool here, and that's why other recommenders like coaches. There's my friend the coach. Coaches, employers, peers, pastors, rabbis, whatever it is. Give insight into your interests and activities outside of your school. You do not live in the school. So if you are getting coached, for basketball, football, lacrosse, soccer, or whatever it may be, your employer, you may have an after-school job, what have you. Your peer, you may say, well, that's kind of stupid. Why my friend? With a peer, you may be working with that person. You may be working with that person in a club. You may be working with that person on a sports athletic team. So these are recommenders that you must hand pick. And remember, all these coaches, employers, peers, pastors, rabbis, whatever, they can't say no. So make sure you pick people that like you and that are going to say nice things about you. And I will tell you why, especially they need to have something that they better like you, because I'm going to share something in a minute why that is critically important. And it is on this slide, which I'll get to towards the end of the slide. Here, inviting and assigning recommenders on the common application. You are going to go to My Colleges tab. That's why I put in capital letters. Select a college and open their recommenders and FERPA, FERPA section. If you have not done so, make sure, I'm going to do that again. Make sure that you see that. My Colleges tab, select a college and open their recommenders and FERPA section. So make sure that each college you open their particular section. Now, this is the big thing and why I said your teachers and whatever and all these people better like you, and why it takes a village to send a kid to college. If you have not done so, you will need to complete the I'll put it here, FERPA release authorization. If you need to write it down, write it down. FERPA release authorization. It's spelled like that, FERPA. It is sort of that authorization. It is whether you decide to waive your right to see your recommendations. Make sure that you see my mugshot here. I would waive your right to see your recommendation. Why? Because if you do not waive your right, because you do have a right to see what your teacher, your pastor, your employer, your counselor, you do have a right to see it. You do. But if you do not waive your right, then the colleges will be like, why didn't they waive their right? Because if you do not waive your right, the college will kind of assume, so the kid had a hand in fixing or editing the letter that was sent to us. So if you give the recommender, the teacher, the counselor, the pastor, coach, whatever, you give them free reign to write about you and you waive your right to see it, that will go a really long way with colleges, because they'll be like, they are confident in themselves and they don't need to see the letter because they know what they're going to write is good. So waive your right, in my opinion. Alright, here we go. I love how my hand is not shaking as much. I might not say it too loud because my hand might hear you. Invite recommenders using the invite button for each section. You may also use the invite recommenders button at the top. And select the type of invitation that you would like to send. For each invitation, you will need information like their name and email address. So that would be for the teacher, pastor, whatever it is, counselor, including the counselor. Don't assume the counselor knows. Make sure you get all that information. Like for me, my name is, I go with Louis D. Fresh, but my last name is really long and drawn out. So make sure you have the spellings of everybody's name correct. And make sure when you select that type of invitation, in other words, are they a counselor? Are they a teacher? Are they a coach? Whatever that type of invitation is, and that you press that invite button, make sure, that's why I put here, save the date, that you make sure that you tell let me turn around. Hold on. This will be also a basis of what I'm gonna, look at that, my hand's doing well. It will be a basis of my third part of my Common App, is that you need to know the dates. As I slam my hand on the desk, you need to know the dates in which things are due. So you need to get your ducks in a row. So let's say for fun, the famous date is November 1st. That's usually an early date, and I personally would have, if I was a student, I'd have all my applications in by November 1st, because this way you can enjoy your senior year and call it a day. But make sure that you tell your teachers a minimum of 7 days before you actually need the letter. So if it's due November 1st, I'm thinking out loud, make sure that you tell them by October 24th that letter is due on October 24th. Why? Because this way it gives them wiggle room, because of, oh my God, I got to do this test, I had this function, the principal called me and my mother was sick, and oh my God, my son, my daughter, life happens. So make sure you give them a minimum of 7 days before your actual due date for your application on this common application. I can't resist. Kali is ready to punch me in the nose. She's like, are you done with your nonsense? Anyway, now, going back, now once you've gotten to that point, after you add a recommender, you can view their information using the Manage Recommenders button. So, that's why you have to make sure that number 6, their recommenders will not receive an email invitation until you assign them to a college. So that's why I have the little checklist here, my little check mark here. You have to make sure that you assign them to a college. I'll tell you why in a second. To assign these recommenders, go to their section within the screen, the Manage Recommenders. Select their name from the drop-down menu and use the Assign button. For example, I almost started talking in Spanish. For example, if you are interested in being a football player for the University of South Florida, well, then you would assign that particular coach to the University of South Florida. But you may say, hey, you know what? I really, really like because I like fish, the marine biology program that they have in Pensacola, in the University of West Florida. They're a pretty decent program. So therefore, my marine biology teacher will be getting the assignment to write a letter for the University of West Florida because of their marine biology program. So do you see what I'm saying? So each person, whether it be the coach, whether it be the pastor, whether it be your friend, whether it be your employer, whether it be your counselor, whether it be your teacher, should be accustomed to that school for that particular reason that you're applying to that school. So every teacher may not necessarily get the same invitation to all the schools that you're applying to. And I think that's a good thing, because you have different ideas for each school. And you should make sure that recommender is going to write you a good recommendation for the thing that you would like to do with your life. Now, for my beautiful high school kids, you can tune out to this. And I love when I say that, because I can see the kids going, oh, that's over. I'm going to go put my head on my desk. I'm good. But for the rest of you, if your high school uses Naviance Score, that's pronounced Score, or another software You will not invite your counselor or teachers here. I use Naviance. I'm thinking out loud. I used Naviance for about 11 years. And the reason Naviance, I didn't use SCORE. I was going to use it with the kids now, but I got this other this counselor supervisor gig, and so whatever. But I know SCORE is a big thing. But I used Naviance for 11 years. And why that was good is because I had between 100 and, that's about right, about 150 seniors. And so with those seniors, it was much easier to use the Naviance. And it literally connects, and that's important. If you use Naviance, I'm sure SCORE is the same thing, or other software. Literally connects to the Common App, so that literally, and that's how you will invite your counselor and your teachers, and they will become like one big unit. And so that's why it's important that if your school uses that, and if you don't know, ask your counselor, because counselors may use that. Make sure that you do connect the two. I can't emphasize that enough. There will be instructional text on this page explaining what to do next in terms of the assigning teachers and all of that. You will still, now back to, pay attention now. You see my pay attention? You still need to add other recommenders and advisors using these steps on the previous slides. So even though you use Naviance or SCORE or what have you, you may still need to use it, the actual Common App online version, for other recommenders and advisors. And I hope you liked my video. We're going to wrap it up on part 3 on actually, your dates and things that you need, and actually submitting it, because I know I was like, I didn't submit it. So we're going to wrap it all up next time. And my next video will actually be from my office, where I'm actually going to be talking about plants. I'm not going to be talking about fish, but I'm going to be talking about plants. And I'll try to make it shorter than this one. I know we're up to 17 minutes and 15 seconds. So that's it, Louis D. Fresh. And get your support, gather your support, because it does take a kid to send. It takes a village to send a kid to college.